All right, so welcome back to the AM show. It's time for us to bring you the news review. And joining us for today's interaction is consultant gender and TVET management, Afi Agbenyo. Good morning to you, Afi, and I hope you're doing well. Great. Okay. Earlier, your mic was mute, and so I couldn't hear what you said. But I hope you're doing well.
Yes, I'm doing very well.
Great. Now, let's start from the Daily Graphic newspaper, which is talking about improving tourism sector. We told some $10 million SMEs grant launched. Now, the story says President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has launched a $10 million Ghana Tourism Small and Medium Enterprises grant for players in the hospitality and creative arts sector to enhance and expand their businesses. The grant, which is a Government of Ghana initiative supported by the World Bank, will assist 1,500 SMEs operating in the sector to modernize and improve tourist site, restaurant, tour operations, event organization, and related businesses to become attractive and competitive. Now, Afi, what do you make of this news that, well, this grant is there to help small and medium-scale businesses in the sector to grow, to make the sector as vibrant as it has to be?
Right. Thank you very much. I think, first and foremost, it's commendable that there is such a facility to support the growth of tourism. It's also obvious the impact of tourism on our economy and even local economy, which is more important because, of course, that's where the growth starts from. The fund and its operations will also, of course, have to look at the ways tourism have evolved and the operations of tourism have evolved over the years. In the time past, you had a lot more institutional systems gathering people to go and check on, to go and visit communities and tourist sites. In recent times, the evolution is you have individuals organizing tourism, organizing people, taking people on tours. You have different activities that fit into the whole conversation or the value chain of tourism. For example, in recent times, there's a lot of young people, social media influencers in the space of tourism. And these people are driving, especially local tourism, a lot more than what we will perceive as existing companies or institutions. So it is important that the fund is operationalized in a way that appreciates the evolution of tourism and the business of tourism. There is people who take you on tours to, for example, a major fair, your people who are organizing people from outside the country, taking people on tours. It's important that we look at these individuals who are establishing the tourism business in the way that they are establishing. We look at the social media influencers who are also projecting our tourist sites the way that they're projecting them in on social media. Of course, then we're looking at the local spaces where we're looking at restaurants that are serving food. And it's important because most often these funds have very rigid rules that do not appreciate the evolution of the businesses that they are hoping to expand or develop. So that would be my comment, but first and foremost to say that this is commendable.
Okay. Now, we should also look at processes that these tour operators go through to get their businesses legalized. What sort of support services should this fund make available to these operators to ensure that everybody is doing what is lawful and to, develop the sector?
Right. This is a very important point that you raised, and that's what I was trying to get to that. In our bid to define SMEs, in our bid to look at what is called a company, the fund should be mindful of individuals who are raising businesses. And this is important because if criteria that is rigid, then you would have to use funds to now make sure that these individual companies fit into the operations and the criteria that you have. But if you're starting this, it's important that you rather look into how they are operationalized, how they're existing. Of course, you want to check that their books are right. Of course, that you want to give them the institutional facility support, company registration, and things like that. But it is important that if we want to grow, we also look at the ecosystem currently as it is operating and see how we can run with it so that we do not use the funds to do book work. And then in the end, the real work of tourism is not done. That's what I would say.
Interesting. But one challenge confronting the tourism sector has to do with bad road network to some of these beautiful sites that we do have. What should be our focus in trying to correct this? Because that is how we can make these tourist sites attractive. If they are there and the roads are bad, you have less people going there to really enjoy the facilities there. So with this fund, what must be the direction in that regard too?
Thank you. Of a truth, I cannot see the fund doing that much work when it comes to road network, infrastructure of that kind. I see the fund supporting individual businesses, or as the fund's name says, SMEs, to be able to operate. I see the fund giving them support to exist and be resilient. I see the fund possibly even funding tourism activities. So people are having a festival and the fund is encouraging community members, Ghanaians, to visit, and possibly transporting people, doing adverts, exposing the tourism sites that we have, getting people to know. I don't see the fund doing the infrastructure work of tourist sites being put in place in a manner that is attractive. So we would have to do with what we have with the fund. The amount of money in the fund may not even construct a road, frankly.
That's an important point you make there.
It would be difficult to be asking that of the fund.
That's an important point you make there. So what would be your suggestion to the tourism ministry and government in general? Because with this fund, like we say, if the roads are not better, we might not be deriving the ultimate benefit from that. So therefore, I'm sure we need to find ways to address that. But what would be your advice to the ministry in operationalizing this fund? How must we also go about ensuring that, in fact, access roads to these sites are better to derive the benefit that we want to get out of this fund?
I would really limit my comment on operationalizing of the fund, because there's a big conversation about infrastructure to tourist sites and even what we define as tourist sites. So it's important that I restrict the comment to the fund. And that will be that, one, let's look really into the current definition of what a tourism site is. Let's look into the current definition and evolving definition of what a tourism business is. Let's not get stuck into the traditional ways of running funds like this so that we get the maximum benefit. Consider young people a lot in going out to see tourist sites, so that you consider young businesses to be the ones to benefit. We should not be stuck in the legal issues and not support individual young businesses. And I would have loved to call many names, but I'm sure that the fund itself can see all these people on social media and be able to support them. Local tourism especially should be our interest, which I know is the interest of the fund. We should not also be bogged down by our unfortunate problem of chronism. It's not good for business. If we want to develop this country, we want to develop the sector, we should be very open, we should be very fair, we should support all and not use this fund as another means to, get cronies and friends and family in the name of they qualify, they are this and they are that. At the end of the day, there will be no benefits with that 10 million that we have. Thank you.
All right, let me end the daily graphic with you with the Ghana IMF begin talks on the enhanced domestic program. Now, it says the country yesterday opened formal discussions with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, in Accra towards securing an economic support program that can inject up to $3 billion into the economy. Now, the government is seeking the support of the fund to prosecute a 3-year program called the Enhanced Domestic Program, EDP. Now, Afi, I'm sure you've listened to a lot of discussion about this IMF and what have you. But now that consultations have begun, what should be our driving force, or what should be the focus as we move into, this program?
Well, first and foremost, and possibly that would be my most important point, is consultation in a very broad manner. We've come to this place not only because of strictly government's mismanagement, but also because of government not listening to people who matter, which is the people of Ghana, which normally are represented also, apart from Parliament, by civil society. The voices of people in Ghana are equally represented by civil societies. And also, of course, research, the research community, which includes academia. So it's important that this consultation process is very engaging broadly, especially to include civil society and the academia. At this point, there is no shame. There is no need carrying ourselves with pride. It's important to open the conversation. Let everybody have a voice as much as possible through institutions like the civil society, academia, even Parliament, of course, which I'm sure that is a giving, so that we can get the maximum benefits of this process. We've been going in and out of the IMF, and we may have to find a way to halt the process by making the best of this opportunity.
Interesting. So we should all be part of this. So labor should be there.
Yes.
Academia should be there to ensure that we are getting the right deal out of this. At the end of the day, it borders on all of us. That's what you're looking for, right?
That's my major concern. Broad discussions, as much as possible represented, women represented, the young people represented, through their various institutions that represent them, through various civil societies that represent them. We're looking at academia. You see, we are here not, where we are that's taking us to the IMF is not new. It was predicted by a lot of researchers. But we acted as though we can never be here. When researchers were telling government that this is the path that looks possible for you, it was not because they fancied Ghana going to the IMF, but because, of course, the figures were telling them what it looks like over the years where we're going to. And if we had listened, possibly we may have averted the situation. But now that we are here and we're going to the IMF, it's important that we listen, especially as government. Government listens. You see, Ghanaians, you saw the interesting thread on the IMF Facebook page, and various social media pages, actually. People's voices are there. Take it or leave it. I'm sure somebody's going to look into that for research in no time. How communities and citizens are engaging in these new dispensation that we have. You can find the voices of people, civil society voices especially, are even put together in a way that it's easier to consult. So yes, that's my point. Let the consultation be broad. Let civil society, labor unions, youth groups be engaged as quickly and as much as possible so that we can get the best of the voices of the people on how we want to do this. Thank you.
Well, but people also argue that we've been to the IMF countless times. We have not been able to still, stay without them for that long. We just came out of one, 2018, 2019, and we are back again in 2022. The discussion or the focus should be, how can we build a country that is not reliant on the IMF? From where you sit, how can we do this?
I'm actually not an economist. And what I would say is government should listen to the economists. Government should listen to expert voices. Government should include expert voices in its activities and its policies. That's what I can say.
Okay. All
Of
right.
course, we have issues of mismanagement. We have issues of bad governance. We have issues of our spendings being, of course, more than what we are generating. But in all of this, I say that let's listen to expert voices. Let's broaden the space of consultation so that when we go this particular route now, we're possibly going to it the last time. Thing is that if we don't go as Ghana, if we don't engage the IMF as Ghana, but we engage the IMF as an MPP government or an NDC government, what we do is to be very narrow-minded. And that means that in the event that there's another government, there is lack of continuity. And of course, that would also mean that we are going to get into a situation where we have to go back to the IMF again, because when we go through mismanagement of our funds, we're living large when we're a poor country. Our leaders are living large when we're a poor country. We are not paying people that should be paid for production to happen. Yes, so that will be my point from where I sit.
All right. Let's move on to the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Now, it also carries a story about President launching $10 million grant initiative for SMEs in tourism, hospitality, creative arts industry. It also has country's interests as priority in IMF deal. That's according to Information Minister Kojo Opon Nkrumah. Now, government takes custody of first batch of test books from appointed time printing for distribution to schools. Supreme Court affirms judgment in favor of Odeniho Kwafo Akoto III. Now, I'm interested in the government taking custody of first batch of test books. This has been almost after 2 years when schools have been without textbooks. Today, we have it. How can we avert this whole development from reoccurring where schools will be in school for more than 2 years without textbooks? I think
it's a shame. It's a shame that we're here at this moment where there's nothing to celebrate about this, frankly. What we can do to avert it is to do the hard work of doing the work at the Ministry of Education. There are people who produce textbooks. There's a procurement system that gets textbooks to be produced. What were the procurement systems in terms of people who delay in publishing or delivering what they've been asked? And we're not running a system where profit is what matters to us. This should not happen. You will not give a contract to somebody and the person delays to this time, and you will be, I don't know what you're doing with this person at this moment, and not cancel that contract and get your work done. It's either that or we didn't have the money and we were not telling ourselves the truth, that we didn't have the money to do the printing. So there's nothing to celebrate. We're grateful, though, that the children are going to have textbooks to learn, and the numbers are small as it is. For the years that they've been, months and into years actually, that they've been without textbook. We hope that there's a way that this compensates for it.
All right, so that's Afi Agbenyo's thoughts on the textbooks that have, officially been handed over to the Ministry of Education for distribution. But Afi, once this has delayed, what will be your suggestion on how the books should be distributed? Yesterday, we were having a discussion where we're thinking, well, because of the delay, let's just take it straight to the schools. But someone said, no, we cannot do it that way. What will be your suggestion to government as to how we can go about distributing these books because of the long delay in getting them to the schools?
If we're not taking it straight to the school, I don't know what we want to do. Have a fun fair to inaugurate the delivery. I'm not sure what we want to do. But first and foremost, there should be, and I'm very certain of that, the ministry, especially GAS, that there is a protocol of how textbooks are delivered. Now, we have to review the protocols now because of the delay. What I would recommend is that we start distributing the textbook to very low-income communities, deprived communities. Reason is that in communities where income levels are a bit high, parents are likely to have found alternative textbooks for their children. But in the rural communities, in deprived communities, they will go to school and there will be nothing to learn. So that the priority should be these communities. That will be first. And it should really go to the schools without any, news item and fanfare around it. It's children who need to learn, textbooks go to them, they learn, and that's what it is.
All right. Now let's do the Daily Guide newspaper. What is of interest to me, and of course I'm sure it will be of interest to you, Afi, as well, is at the back page of the paper. It says massive boost for Black Stars as Inaki others switch for Ghana. I'm sure you've heard this whole thing about other players who are willing to play for Ghana now. What do you make of this development where we have this kind of talent coming in? I'm sure maybe you might not be a football fanatic, but yeah, you're a Ghanaian.
I'm glad you mentioned that. But really, congratulations to them. Being Ghanaian is a task as well as a pleasure. But there's, of course, so being Ghanaian in itself is what I will congratulate them for. And of course, making it to the Black Stars eventually. What this tells us also is how, over the years, leadership with football has been very terrible. Because are we going to continue on that tangent of having to look for people to change nationality before they play for the Black Star? I don't sit here with the technical expertise of the of football, but if it's leadership, then I think that we are not doing well with even the football system.
Okay.
There are fantastic talent that should be developed, and people should just be Ghanaians. They should qualify us to the World Cup and be able to also play. I mean, it rubs me a bit with a system of different people qualifying us to the World Cup or whatever tournament we're going, and then different sets of apparently fantastic people having to change their nationality before they join the team. If it mattered to them as well that much, and this is nothing compared. I'm not saying this attacking the individuals, but why didn't they change their nationality to support us to get to the World Cup? We are doing something wrong. We're not building talent. It's not sustainable. If tomorrow we don't have people who want to be Ghanaians, we might not get qualified players. It doesn't. I don't think it's sustainable. So we would have to rethink it. But congratulations to Iñaki. That's his name, right? And
Iñaki Williams.
Yes, football is important to us as Ghanaians.
All right.
It takes a lot of our troubles away. So all the best to the team so we can have some fun because times are very tough.
Okay. Now, in addition to Inaki, we also know that Southampton defender Mohamed Salisu has declared himself available for the Black Stars. We also know that Tariq Lamptey, who is a right back for Brighton, has also switched to play for Ghana. We also are aware of Steven Ambrosius, who is a German-based footballer, as well as Ransford Yeboah. They've all decided to play for Ghana. So let's see how this takes us. But let's do the anchor now. And it says, massive reshuffle looms. Agric Minister, Gender, Finance, and others to go. Afi, is it something you're looking forward to see reshuffling in this government?
Yes. I'm looking forward to that in different ways.
Okay.
I think that first and foremost, the gender ministry is a ministry that's of interest to me, first and foremost. We have done that ministry a greater service. The history we are bringing to that ministry is that it doesn't matter. So much so that the ministry will be without a minister for this long. So yes, I look forward to a ministry that has a minister, which is the gender ministry. Then if people have done some work and they've not been able to achieve what they've set out to do themselves, the Greek minister, for example, have given us a lot of interesting figures when it comes to prices of food. It has proven over the years to be wrong. We've had projects in the Greek ministry that has not gone well. It's only fair, right, good governance practice that they go off so that others take the work and see. Thing is that when people also take the task, there's a vibrancy to want to do right. So if we get a reshuffle, I hope that it would help us to get to a good place.
Okay. Now, on page 2 of that same paper, it says Bishop Herman student cry for toilet facility. Student of Bishop Herman College in Pando municipality of the Volta region have appealed to the government and other relevant authorities to provide them with better toilet facilities and potable water. According to some Form 3 students, they have resorted to defecating in the open since they gained admission into the school due to the bad nature of the only 2 toilet facilities in the school. Afi, this shouldn't be happening in this age. But how do we address this? Because there are so many of them in so many schools across the country.
Infrastructure is, especially educational infrastructure, is a thing that we would have to be very, very, very conscious about. Apart from that, also is maintenance. When it comes to school leadership, I think that this is the thing that this is a toilet facility. It's not even a big classroom block. So it's really an issue of local government, right? So I think that the school may have to get to the right authorities to do this as quick as possible. See, toileting is a matter of dignity as well, okay? It's not a good thing for the students to be in such a position. So it's toilet. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. Toilet facilities, please. And whoever is responsible should get this done as quick as possible. And I would also want to put this on the doorstep of school management. That's managing school facilities is a thing that we would have to all. I mean, they should get to managing school facilities. Then the good thing about that, being conscious about managing school facilities such as sitting toilet, is the practice it inculcates in the children, in students, of how to manage facilities. Yeah.
All right, now the Daily Statement says Zambia studies Ghana's small-scale mining industry. Ghana's interest to be prioritized in IMF deal. It comes with a picture of Kojo Ponkruma. The earlier story comes with a picture of the Deputy Minister for Land and Natural Resources in charge of mining, George Mreku Duka. Aikoyo to others quit NPP race. 45 new buses for Metro Mass Transit. Government committed to self-reliant sustaining economy. Afi, I don't know which of them interest you. Just a minute if you would want to take a bite on any of them. Maybe the small-scale mining.
Yes, actually, it's interesting if we've made this much progress to be studied. But of course, even bad cases are good for people to study to know how to avert it. So I can only hope that the study from the Gambian is profitable for them. But that moves me to our own situation. We've had very, very difficult times with small-scale mining, the impact on our environment, and we're even seeing dire consequences. Even as the rain comes, it all comes together. If you're messing up with the environment in one constituency, one community, one region, it all comes together and impacts the others. So it has a big effect on us. So the Ministry of Mines, I know, has fund that is supporting small-scale miners so they can mine, responsibly. If this is done well, we are in good course. Currently, I cannot say if it is being done well, but what I also noticed is the increase in tree planting in such communities. Just when we ended the Green Day, yes, there was a massive tree planting project. I hope that we continue to maintain these trees so that the impact of small-scale mining over the communities over the time can be reduced.
All right, Afi Agbenyo, thank you so much for this morning. She's a consultant, gender and TVET management. We're grateful for finding time to join. I do enjoy the rest of your day, Afi. All right, so that's it for the news review segment of the AM show. Up next is we'll bring you latest from the world of sports. Stay with us here.